So you mentioned the ABCC with the liquor license.
Right.
So you also you just started a new part of your business as brokering liquor licenses.
Right. So for the last 10 years, one of the things that we've done is we've been involved in the sale of liquor licenses. Massachusetts works off a quota system. Every city and town, there's 650 communities, I believe, in Massachusetts. Every city and town has a certain amount of liquor licenses that they can issue. So Boston has 650 liquor licenses, all alcoholic licenses, and 350 wine and malt or beer and wine licenses. So if a national chain wants to come to town to fill up one of these new spaces that they've just built, they need to acquire a liquor license. So we put ourselves in a position because of the demand that we've started Atlantic License Brokers, and it's a specific division of Atlantic Restaurant Group. We built it to help buyers acquire liquor licenses.
So if I want a liquor license, but excuse me, I've always been under the impression that the towns or the cities
Correct.
Own the licenses. So if they own it, why am I getting it from you?
Yep, the cities and town issue the license to someone, and they have the right to use it. And in Massachusetts, I don't know the history behind it, but they're treated as an asset, as a business asset. They can be pledged as collateral on a loan. A liquor license can be pledged as collateral on a loan. So it's a valuable asset. The cities and towns have allowed operators to sell the right to use that license. So where we got involved was there's a lot of buyers coming into the market that need licenses and they can't find them. They're in very, very high demand. So we have resources in the office that full-time people, all they do, they're working to uncover licenses, wine and malt licenses and all alcoholic licenses that are available for sale. That's all they do.
So these are available. So let's I know we have your listing here. Let's look at the listing. So look at this listing that you have. This is directly off your website. Now you have one license in Boston for $50,000.
Right.
You have another license in Boston. It's Brighton for $350,000. I mean, there's even you have others there. Boston, 275. 275, 300, 100 in Quincy. So what's the difference? Obviously it's a supply and demand thing,
right.
But you're in the same city and there's still a fluctuation in price.
So in different neighborhoods have, there's licenses allocated to different neighborhoods. For instance, a Newbury Street license, if you wanted to open a restaurant in Newbury Street, the neighborhood group in the city, they're not apt to allow you to bring in another license into that neighborhood unless you could show that it was for the common good. What typically would happen was if you want to be on Newbury Street, you'd find somebody that has a Newbury license and buy the rights to use that license. Okay? Similar in Allston Brighton. Allston Brighton's a very big, a lot of college bars, and the neighborhood doesn't want to be overburdened with licenses. So if you wanted to go to Allston Brighton, you'd probably have to acquire one from another operator. And a bar, the profit margin on liquor is pretty high.
Right.
They're doing a lot of bar business in Allston, so it's a very valuable license. The wine and malt license, an average wine and malt license, pretty much they can transfer anywhere within the city. Again, on the Newbury Street, you have to show that there's a need to have that in there. But a wine and malt license in the cities is $50,000 right now. That's the current market price.
So if, say you go to a city, we'll just say Boston.
Right.
And there's a license, they're awarding, because I think didn't the mayor open up and he awarded some more licenses?
They did. In 2007 or 8, they issued some site-specific licenses to help generate activity in certain neighborhoods.
Okay.
So they're non-transferable. Those licenses, you can't sell those. You can't sell the right. When you're done using it, you turn it back in. Ginger Park on Washington Street had a site-specific license. When they got done with it, when they decided to close, that went back to the city into inventory, and then it was reissued to somebody else.
Okay, so if that's being issued from the city itself,
right.
What does that cost somebody?
They'd pay the annual fee, the application fee. I think an annual fee in Boston is $4,000.
So $4,000 if I get it from the city, if it's available.
Right.
But that's a non-transferable, so I can't take that and then sell it off.
Correct.
I have to give it back to the city.
That's correct. But if you're a national chain and you've signed a lease for something in the Seaport District, do you want to get in the queue and wait for everybody else, wait your turn for that license to get issued, or do you just want to make it happen? So where we get into play is the attorneys that represent some of those national chains reach out and say, we need a license, and we go out and find one, make it happen so they can sign the lease and get the deal done, and they can get open for the spring or whenever they project to get open. If they wanted to sit in line and wait at City Hall and appear before the board and appear before the board and appear before the board and hope that one of those licenses opened up, they can do that. But we've found that there's a very high need right now for licenses, and they call us. We have a waiting list of 6 all-alcoholic licenses right now. We have assignments for 6 licenses and probably 12 wine and malt licenses. So it's very active right now.
So if I'm over on Newberry Street, I own a license. I have Restaurant Wraps restaurant right there, and I have a license. I decide I'm going to close. Can I sell that license to, Legal Seafoods down on the waterfront?
You could. You can take it out of those neighborhoods, but you can't bring them into that neighborhood. So if somebody was moving off Newberry Street and decided to take their license, they were just going to relocate, let's say, to Seaport. So they're going to pick up their restaurant with their license and move to Seaport. That would create a hole. It would create a need. It would create a spot in the Back Bay for someone to move a license in. Okay, typically what would happen, what we've seen in the past couple of years is they'll go to move, they'll sell their license for upwards of $350,000, $375,000, maybe $400,000, and then go buy a license on the other side of town, something in that neighborhood for $250,000 or $275,000.
Wow.
So that happens.
So what allows me to bring it into the Seaport? If I can't bring one into Newberry Street.
It's a developing neighborhood. It's something they're trying to create an active center down there.
Right.
So the city's encouraging, everybody's encouraging development down there to really get that moving. So I think that the mayor of Boston, I think he does a tremendous job working with the neighborhood groups, making sure that the licenses are allocated correctly, and he's really trying to drive development. He does a great job with the neighbors, with the neighborhood groups.
So in neighborhoods that are really congested, like in Newberry Street, Boylston,
right.
Unless someone is giving one up, you're not going to be able to get in.
Or unless you can prove that there's a need for one.
Or unless